Hello and welcome back, everyone. My name is Natalie Schlute. I am your manifestation coach. And today, this is a very important episode that I absolutely needed to make for a very specific reason. We are going to be covering what clairsentience pain is, which is your psychic ability to feel physical sensations, and what that means, and how that's defined, and how it actually shows up in your body, versus what is actual physical pain or emotional pain showing up in your body. There is a very big difference. And what I found was that after I posted the YouTube video and the podcast episode talking about clairsentience and, even making some infographics for Instagram and things like that, I started to notice over the last year or two that there was a lot of people that were leaving comments saying, "Oh, wow, thank you so much. I'm so glad I figured out where my pain was coming from. Now I know it's clairsentience pain." And then they would go on to tell me what they were experiencing. And it was not clairsentience physical pain. Their pain was coming from a completely different spot and a different place. And I really needed this episode because I don't want to lead anyone astray. I want to make sure that you are fully educated and completely understand what it means to have clairsentience pain versus something that is structural in your body, something that is systemic, like a neurological issue, versus something that is coming from an emotional reaction. And so it's really important to be able to define and have that differential diagnosis so that you know where your pain is actually coming from, because it is very different. And I would hate for someone to actually think that because they found one of my videos or episodes that they have clairsentience pain and then not to go, down the route of seeking medical help because they think they understand their pain when they don't. And my background as an athletic trainer, understanding everything in the realm of physical therapy and how the human body works, I am very educated and very clear in understanding what it is when someone is experiencing something physical versus something that is psychic. And that was actually why I shifted my careers, because a lot of the pain that I was experiencing over the last 30 years practically, I went to school specifically in Western medicine to understand my physical pain. And through that process and through helping others for years in the training room and in the treatment rooms, I was really able to determine what is the difference between physical pain, like something really actually going on with your body, versus other times I would be working on people and I knew there wasn't something structurally wrong. They didn't have a herniated disc, they didn't have anything that was torn, and I was picking up psychic information off of them, and I could see images and feel emotions of episodes that they had in their life. And so I was like, oh wow, these are actual emotional things that they're holding on to, traumas and so forth. And so I've gotten very good at defining the two, and being able to diagnose all of that. So with that all said, that is why I am creating this episode for you, because I want to make sure you are very clear on how all of this works, and I want to help you on this journey in understanding it all. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell so that you get notified on all of my videos. And please leave comments so that I can answer all of your questions and help you on this journey as well. So in this episode, the three major points we're going to be hitting is, I'm going to describe to you exactly what clairsentience pain looks like, feels like, and give you some examples. We're going to be covering physical pain that can be either structural or systemic. And then I will also be covering emotional pain as well, and how that shows up in your physical body. So to begin with, let's start with clairsentience pain. So clairsentience is physical sensations that you feel in your body. So when people say, oh my gosh, I'm getting chills, like someone says something, it really resonates with them on a soul level, and they maybe get goosebumps on their arms or something like that. Clairsentience pains, that's like a psychic knowing. It's your body's ability to tap into energetic frequencies that are showing up for you, whether it's energetic frequencies that you're picking up from other people, energetic frequencies that you're picking up because you suddenly have a remembering from another lifetime, or a synchronicity or a sign from the universe. Like, we might actually get physical sensations from those type of things. Maybe you feel some butterflies in your stomach. Maybe all of a sudden your heart starts racing and you get a little flush. You might have waves of hot or cold or tinglings down your back. I've known people that say they like get specific things in one part of their body whenever they are experiencing like a psychic knowing. And so that's really what clairsentience is. It's your body's physical ability to tap into very subtle energetic shifts in the non-physical realm. then by that I mean physical things are tangible things you can touch. You know, you can touch a door, you can touch a water bottle, you can touch like physical tangible items, right? A table, a desk, a chair, a bed, those kind of things. Those are physical things. Non-physical things are emotions. They're energies. They're very subtle frequencies that we can't see with the physical eye necessarily, but they are real. They are there. They are vibrating. We can't see radio waves. We can't see, you know, our internet waves that are running through us and phone waves and things like that, but they exist and we can actually feel them. If we are very sensitive with our nervous system, we can actually feel those types of energies. And so understand that that is more the realm of what a clairsentient type of psychic intuitive information is. Now, the way it will show up is usually it's very short term. It's these one-off experiences that kind of are fleeting, they happen and then they go by, they disappear fairly quickly, and they're really specific. So for example, if you're feeling like a physical actual pain, like something that's painful, and it's coming from a psychic impression, it's going to be somewhat fleeting. It's going to be very specific. Most likely you will be able to figure out who it came from and then it will go away. It's not going to be something that's lingering. So for example, like I mentioned before, I was an athletic trainer. I was in the training room. It's very much like a physical therapist where I'm doing injury evaluation. I'm checking on people, their pain, creating entire protocols to help them rehabilitate their body and treat their injuries. And so when people come in, often I have to do an entire evaluation to see what's going on with their physical body. And as a very psychic intuitive person, as I was working on people, I happened to notice for those years that I was working as a trainer that there would be days where, you know, I'd be working on someone's forearm, like their forearm was really tight and it was hurting. And so I'd be doing some massage work and I'd be doing treatment on it. And then later that day I would go home and my forearm would have hurt in the exact same spot. That was me picking up vibrational psychic energy from that person and pulling it into my body. It wasn't that there was anything wrong with my forearm. It was just that that was happening. Same thing was happening to my husband. He's a chiropractor. He used to be a massage therapist as well. So he's very hands-on with his treatments. And he was having the same thing. He'd be working on someone's back and then he would come home and his back would hurt in that exact spot. And so you can actually pick up physical energy. It's a lot more common for people that are in the healthcare industry that are hands-on to pick up vibrations and to pick up energies of other people's pain and pull it into their body. Now, this can also happen without physically touching other people. So another example is I have one of my one-on-one clients that I've been working with for a few years now, and she's an acupuncturist. And so for her, it was coming in much more psychically. So she would actually have experiences where her knee would hurt and it would really bother her one day. And then the next day she would go in and she had a new client, and that new client had knee pain in the exact same spot and in the exact same way that she was experiencing it that previous day. And so she was picking up on her clients before they even walked in the door. She would do this with some of her friends as well. One day she had a really bad stomach ache. She was trying to figure out, like, what's going on? Why does my tummy hurt? And then at the end of that evening, she went to a friend's house and her friend said she was having stomach issues. And so she was picking up psychically through the field of energy, right? Like there's this quantum field of energy. We are connected to everything. There is no time and space that is actually between us and anything else that exists. And she was able to pick up those things. So working with her, we were able to get her to a point where she was reducing her physical pain that she was picking up from her clients by over 90%. Like it was down to just a very few every once in a while she was. So in order to help my client reduce what she was picking up clairsentient wise, I trained her on toning down her clairsentient skill set and tuning up her clairvoyance and her claircognizance. So she was training to experience more visual psychic impressions and more awareness, just like knowings about her clients versus picking up physical sensations from her clients. So we really worked on shifting her psychic abilities and then consciously choosing a new programming. We programmed her with new belief systems where she believed that she had control over which psychic abilities came through. And she created very healthy boundaries around clairsentience. And she chose that she didn't have to feel physical pain. So that mental and emotional programming that we did with her also prevented things. I also guided her on a variety of different types of meditations that she could do so that she was tapping into her clients before they walked in the door. She would do it the night before or the morning of, and kind of tap into her clients and receive the information through her visions and through her knowings, and then compartmentalize it energetically so that she wasn't pulling it into her body anymore. And that was really effective for her. For my husband and I, we did some similar things. We also got Reiki certified so that we were clearing our energy more effectively. We did that probably a decade ago. And then we were also doing a lot of other things, creating our healthy boundaries in the psychic realm and using things like crystals. I have this beautiful like crystal wand that sometimes my husband, he gets a little overloaded by his clients. So the polarity shift that happens in him causes him to feel kind of nauseous, sometimes get headaches and low energy. And so by using things like crystals, which have a very stable polarity, a very stable geometric structure, and putting it on the body, that has helped to balance his energy and his vibration so that he is not brought down by other people that are shedding things that he doesn't want to be experiencing. Another way that you might be picking up different kind of clairsentient information is through what's called clairtangency, and that's so physical touch. So let's say you go into a thrift store or an antique store and you pick something up. You might actually pick up vibrations and energy from that, and you might feel something emotional, you might get a vision, but you might also pick up information that way. And so just regular clearing and being self-aware and keeping your vibration and your psychic energy and your aura and your chakras very clear through regular spiritual cleansing, you can actually prevent a lot of clairsentient pain, assuming that what you're experiencing is actually clairsentient pain. Now, when I received some of the messages about people thinking that they had clairsentience pain, they were actually experiencing physical pain. So let's talk about physical pain now. Physical pain can be something structural or it can be systemic. And so what I mean by those two is structural is a physical injury. So let's say you have a herniated disc or stenosis, which I have both of those in my neck. I have an old injury from like 15 years ago, and it got flared up with my recent injury 2 years ago. But that is something that you can actually see on an MRI. So these are things that show up on imaging. They can show up on x-rays. They can show up on MRIs. You go in and have surgery on something. Let's say you have a torn rotator cuff in your shoulder or a bicep tendon or something like that, ACL, on your knee. Those are things where there's an actual tearing of some physical tissue. There is a torn ligament, there is broken skin, there is, torn muscle tissue, there's herniations of discs and, different things like that that are actually physically there. So structural means there is something structurally going on with the physical body. And so those are going to cause very different physical sensations. So for example, there was someone that left a message on one of my YouTube videos that said, oh yeah, I notice sometimes when I'm driving in the car for long periods of time that my arms go numb or my lower legs go numb. If that is happening, that is not clairsentience pain. That means you either have an impingement, like a herniated disc, like you have some stenosis in the actual vertebrae, whether it's in your neck. When you're driving and your arms are up in front of you, that puts a lot of pressure and tension on the muscles surrounding your neck and shoulders. So if you have a slight forward head posture, which most people do because everyone's on their phones and their computers and we're all leaning forward, everything we do in life is in front of us, or if there's any kind of herniation or disc issue, when you have your arms up, like let's say your hands are actually at the 10 and 2 position while you're driving, you will start to get some nerve irritation. You might get some numbness in your hands coming down your arms. That's because there's some sort of impingement. It could just be tight tissue too, right? You could be really tight in your shoulders. Maybe you don't exercise or you exercise a lot, but you're not doing any soft tissue work. You're not massaging, you're not stretching, and maybe your posture is a little bit forward. That can put enough tension on the physical muscle and fascia tissue that it can cause some tightness and impingement over the nerves and cause some neurological sensations. I personally, almost every day, wake up with my hands and arms tingling because, again, I have herniations at the base of my neck where the disc is actually bulging backwards, and then I have some stenosis on the right side. So it's usually down my right arm. I just know that it is what it is. I move my arms, I shake it out, I'm okay, I'm treating it, I'm dealing with it. But that's something structural. That's not a clairsentient experience. Same with people if you're sitting in the car for a long time and you feel something down your leg. That is a neurological pattern based off of an impingement in the lower back. And so typically, again, there's a disc disc herniation. There's some sort of impingement there. It could also be just tight tissue, right? You could have very tight glutes, and you're typically, when we're sitting, people tend to tuck. They actually tuck their tailbone under them, and then that puts a lot of pressure on the low back. That actually shoots the disc space backwards and puts pressure on the nerves. And so you could have tight glutes where the muscle tissue is actually tightening over the branch of nerves that's right in the center of your butt cheek. And that can clamp down on the nerves and cause some tension and some neurological issues going down the leg. So whether it's tingling, numbness, whether it's hot or cold sensations, those are all neurological sensations, typically from some type of impingement of the nerves. So those are examples of when it is not anything clairsentient. You are actually having a physical structural impingement, tightness. Do some physical therapy, go to the doctor, get it checked out, maybe work with a personal trainer, find some foam rolling videos and some strengthening, core strengthening, upper back posture videos and things like that. I actually have a few of those from, oh God, I don't even know how many years ago, I think 4 years ago. You can find those on my YouTube channel if you go back far enough. But those are things that can actually be more structural. Now, when it comes to systemic things, systemic means, for example, I had one other client who came to me and she said, oh yeah, I'm getting a lot of clairsentient, like numbness and tingling in my body. She's like, I feel it in the evening and I feel it first thing in the morning. And if you're feeling it every day in the evening and every day in the morning, that is not something clairsentient. That is not a psychic piece of information. That is your entire body. That is your nervous system. There's something going on internally that is stimulating the nerves. And typically that's going to be a viral overload. You may have heavy metals in your body. You might be experiencing some toxins in your environment. That could be mold. It could be a fungus, something like that. It's something, there's something neurological happening, and it's happening consistently. And so this is where doing some deep cleansing, like cleaning out your diet, I highly recommend following Anthony William. He calls himself the medical medium, and he can give you all the information and details on exactly what's going on with your body when it comes to these type of things. A lot of the neurological issues, chronic health issues, diseases, and things like that. His work is the only work that has actually gotten me results. I have spent 20 years dealing with digestive issues, dealing with migraines, and I have tried every diet under the sun. I have tried everything to heal my body, and his work is the only thing that has actually worked for me. So drinking celery juice, heavy metal detox smoothies, cutting out the troublemaker foods like eggs, gluten, dairy, and corn, increasing the good stuff like eating massive amounts of fruit is so important for healing your nervous system. And it makes a huge, huge difference. I promise you, if you start doing some of that stuff, if you're having some systemic neurological things, it's going to be night and day. You know, all these fad diets that are around right now, like the keto diet and things like that, they are so damaging to the body. It is so not worth it to try it, even for a short period of time. Those high-fat diets are thickening your blood. They're causing clogged and stagnation throughout your entire body, throughout every organ. They're causing your liver to be sluggish, and the liver can no longer do its job of cleaning out the viruses, bacteria, and heavy metals and toxins in your body. And so it's really important to be on a lower fat diet and to have massive amounts of fruit. You can have unlimited carbohydrates as long as they're high quality. Fruits, vegetables, things like potatoes, grains, that kind of stuff. If you eat that, you will still lose weight, you will still look good and healthy, and you will feel so much better. Your brain fog will go away, you'll have more energy, you'll sleep better, and you'll heal any chronic issues that you have. So that's really the difference between the two. And I want to be very clear on that these are not clairsentient experiences if you're experiencing these, and these are situations where you really want to start doing your research and looking into how you can heal your body. Again, I recommend medical medium for all of the systemic stuff that could be going on, for the aches and pains, the migraines, the stomach stuff, all of those gut things are going to be really important. And then if you have some structural stuff, you might want to start with some physical therapy type work, and then refer, like actually go get some imaging and go to a doctor and find out if there's something deeper going on. Now, also keep in mind that if you're having a lot of systemic neurological stuff, and you're naturally a sensitive person, you're an empath, you already have some intuitive abilities, you will be more easily triggered in like really big environments. So you're going to be more hypersensitive to other people's energy and emotion. Imagine when your body is already hypersensitive and it's already being very easily triggered by food. It's being easily triggered by things like changes in temperature, hot weather. You're very easily triggered if you don't get enough sleep, those kind of things. That's usually something systemic going on. But then because you're already hypersensitive, because you've got this underlying physical thing happening, your nervous system is already on higher alert. Your nervous system is already activated and you're already like feeling stuff a little bit more. And so then what happens is when you get into a room with a lot of people, or you're around someone who's really angry, really sad, or just has a really strong emotion, you're going to physically feel it more because your nervous system is already on high alert. So it makes you more hypersensitive to experiencing other people's emotional or physical pain just because your nervous system is already on higher alert because of something viral or systemic that you have going on in your body. So there could be a little bit of both going on. It could be a little bit of clairsentience, but if it's a chronic thing and then you just have a really hard time handling, other people's energy, being in large crowds of rooms of people and things like that, I in those situations you really do need to work on the physical systemic stuff that's going on so that you can better handle being in environments with a lot of other people, because you're probably picking up on a little bit of both. And when you heal the physical, it helps you still create a healthy awareness of the psychic empath ability, right? That clairsentience ability. But what it does is you can cope with it better. It's easier to cope with it and you can manage it better, and it doesn't drain you or affect you in a negative way when you've done the inner work around it. And the third differential diagnosis is emotional pain. So these are usually pretty obvious for most people, right? When we are going through grief, let's say we've lost someone that we really love, whether it's someone who has passed away or we went through a really bad breakup, like you're actually going to feel a physical aching and hurt in your heart space. You might have a lot of gut issues going on. You might feel a lot of anxiety, a lot of like neurological hyperactivity, and you might feel physically drained. Like these are very physical symptoms that are happening because you're going through something really emotional. And so sometimes we're experiencing just emotional pain. It's not necessarily you're psychically picking something up or there's something systemic going on, but there's something that's happening in your life and the emotional reaction that you're having to it is causing these physical symptoms. Now, once again, there can be differential diagnoses to these types of things. The example would be, maybe you're feeling a heart pain, but there's nothing really going on emotionally. Differential diagnosis. Maybe there's precursors to a heart attack or something like that going on. Maybe the chest pain is coming from the lungs. Maybe you've got some lung issues. There's something systemic there. And then same thing with the gut. Like maybe you're having consistent pain in your gut in a certain spot. Maybe you have something like diverticulitis. Maybe there's something else going on. If you're always anxious and nervous over time, that vibration of being in those heavy energies, whether it's depression, whether it's anxiety and panic and those type of things, there is the possibility that those vibrations of being in those chronic states of emotion can actually create a vibration that then starts to disrupt the physical tissue in your body. So something that starts out as chronic anxiety could turn into something like diverticulitis, which is just irritation of the gut lining, right? Or you might be experiencing a lot of heartburn or something like that, or maybe just a lot of gas and bloating or just stomach pains and those type of things. And so the emotional and vibrational side can turn into something physical. And this is why it's so important to honor and acknowledge our emotions and not shove our emotions down and suppress them. Because when we do that, now we're creating a vibration where we're holding on to a lot of that stuff unconsciously. You're choosing not to look at it or be aware of it, but it's still there. And those vibrations can actually break down the physical tissue. Now, I'm not saying that this is necessarily every negative emotion you have is suddenly going to make you unhealthy and you're going to have problems, because that's not necessarily true either. Some people don't get any physical issues, right? We all have different contracts that we come into these lifetimes with, and some people choose a lifetime where they're really hypersensitive and have a lot of health issues, like I apparently did, but not everyone does. Some people, their bodies are just really resilient, and no matter what they go through and whatever emotions, like their organs are always great and they may feel physical sensations, but they don't really have any chronic issues and they do really well in life. And so that's totally possible for you too. And also, miracle healings are possible. They do happen. So maybe you've experienced a lot of grief, a lot of anger, a lot of hatred and resentment, and you're just holding on to a lot of stuff, and you get into your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, or whatever, and suddenly you get cancer. And you're like, wow, you've had these emotions that you've been holding on to and repressing, and you haven't been doing the inner work around it. And so now it's manifested into a physical something, because this is a progression where your body is trying to get your attention. Hey, look at me. It's time to deal with this anger. It's time to forgive yourself. It's time to forgive other people for things they've done to you in the past. And if you're not paying attention to your emotions, eventually it will show up in your physical body. It will manifest as something else trying to get your attention. For everyone, it's really different. And anytime you're ignoring what you're really feeling and you're not dealing with it and processing it and healing it, it will start out as something small, but then it will get louder and louder and louder until it's screaming at you. And for everyone, that looks very different. For those of us that have neurological issues, it comes through as things like migraines. It comes through as fibromyalgia and chronic pain spots in the body, maybe a lot of fatigue and neurological issues and brain fog. For other people, they feel fine and they're not taking care of their bodies for decades, and then suddenly they have a bigger health crisis. Maybe it's cancer, it's tumors, it's something like that, and they never felt any physical pain up to that point, but now it's at the point where it's something even bigger, and now they have to address those things. And often you hear these stories all the time, that sometimes it takes a big moment like that to have a miraculous shift where someone's like, I'm not ready to go. I am going to change my life. And literally in an instant, you can make a choice. You can choose to heal and overcome just about anything. Your soul knows how to. It's lived many, many lifetimes. And so you can actually tap in to the power of the universe, the power of your soul, the power of the strength, the power of all the lifetimes you lived, and all the wisdom that our Creator has. And you can tap into that and literally have miraculous healings in an instant if you choose it and if you believe it. And this is where we hear these stories, and people that had tumors or ended up having cancer, and they were like, I'm going to rise above this. And miracle healings do happen. So all of that is completely possible for anyone if you choose it and if you believe it and if you step into it with so much conviction that there is no other reality that you want to be in, and you choose it 100%, no compromise, right? Like no falling back into old patterns. Some of us have a different journey. For me, it wasn't one big thing. It's been all these little things over my lifetime, and I'm constantly getting daily, weekly, and monthly feedback as to how much I'm paying attention to my body, how much I'm honoring my emotions, how much I'm healing my old traumas. Because for me, it's like an everyday experience, right? Like what I'm feeling in my body, whether I have a migraine, whether I have some chronic pain, or things that are flaring up or not flaring up. And it's all a reflection of how I'm showing up for myself, how I'm showing up for my physical body, how I'm showing up for my health and my diet, how I'm showing up for my emotions, and how I'm showing up at whatever level I'm doing my inner work and wherever I am. And so know that we all have different journeys. They are all beautiful. They are all perfect. They are all exactly what we need them to be. Your journey is exactly what you need and what you wanted in this lifetime in order to learn and grow the lessons that you are here to experience. And it's different, it's beautiful, and it's unique for each one of us. And so just wholeheartedly accept what your experience is, and know that there are some really awesome lessons and some really beautiful growth that's going to happen based off of what you're experiencing. So just a quick recap. I just want to remind you, clairsentience, it's fleeting. It's something that's very specific. And sometimes there's other things that are coming with it, like a clairvoyant image or things like that, coming from one person, one tangible object, one moment, and then it goes. And it's very specific, and usually you can kind of pinpoint where it was coming from. If it's something physical, maybe there's a structural tissue damage, right? That's something that can usually show up on an X-ray or an MRI, and it's something that's chronic. Maybe there was a physical injury that happened, or it could slowly happen over time. Sometimes herniated discs in the low back or neck, they don't happen necessarily from like a sports injury, but they can happen slowly over time with poor posture, lack of exercise, lack of mobility, lack of stretching, all those kind of things. And then we've got the emotional pain. We've got the emotional stuff that sometimes we are holding on to that is repressed, that we're not dealing with, or maybe it's something that's in the moment and you just have to get through it, right? Like we still have to process our emotions. Law of attraction and manifesting is not about jumping and skipping to the next step. It's about going through the process, doing the actual healing, and moving through it, and allowing yourself to learn and integrate all of that wisdom and knowledge and experience that you have so that you can be the best version of yourself in the future. And so So those are the various ways that pain can show up in our bodies. I hope this was really valuable for you. If this was valuable for you, please share this. Please share this on your social media. Please send this to your friends and family who may need to hear this, because this is really important information that I think everyone kind of needs to know on some level in order to really understand and to navigate your own body and to live a higher quality life based off of that. So please share this. If you share it on social media, tag me in it. I always love to see that. If you have any questions, please share them in the comments below so that I can help support you on this journey. And I am so grateful for you to be here with me today, learning, growing, and evolving together. Remember to like and subscribe to this video so that you can get updated. The more likes and shares we have, the more this gets pushed out to other people so that they can learn, grow, and experience the same knowledge and wisdom that you had today. If you want more amazing content like this and updates so that you don't miss anything, join my free download library. I have a link in the comments below so that you can get access to dozens of downloads around all of your psychic abilities, around manifestation, law of attraction, healing, guided meditations, you name it, I've got it for you, and it's all free. If you're ready to binge watch more of my content, go over to my page and check out all of the playlists that I have. I have them categorized so you can binge watch any type of category you want, whether it's all of your psychic and intuitive abilities, whether it's law of attraction, manifestation, karma and past lives, you name it, I've got it. And I'm so excited for you to learn and grow more with me.